Hello, welcome to the Horror House Podcast. I'm Dave.
I'm Chris. We are two dudes that like to talk about horror movies and horror IRL stuff. Sometimes. This week, we are talking about... it's
Robert
finally
Cop.
happened. It's happened.
Robert Cop.
You put respect on that name.
Mr. Robert Cop.
Weller Cop. It's Robocop time. It's finally Robocop. It's here. It's here. And we're going to talk at least 12, maybe 14 hours on this 1987 perfect.
80% of it, we're going to be discussing Joel Kinnaman.
And that was the show. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We had a good run. In the horror house. But
okay, Chris. I take it back, Chris. No discussing Joel Kinnaman.
I'm side-eyeing you right now. I'm side-eyeing you. Side-eye.
I at some point, I am interested to know what you think of Joel Kinnaman, separate from the ill-fated Robocop reboot, which
I will tell you very quickly, I hated him for years. I tried to watch a couple things he was in, hated him. And then I watched not the first Suicide Squad movie, but the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he was okay in that.
The good one. They were both good. I thought.
I still have not watched the Will Smith one, but I liked the other one a lot. The James Gunn one, I thought was great.
It is better.
And that took some of the bitterness of that remake, which shall not be named by me, even though I guess I did. Anyways, yeah.
I do want to just bring it up a little bit tonight. At the end of the night, Chris, when you're good and
I gotta get through these beers,
lubricated with adult beverage, and just briefly, and nothing that's, I promise, it's nothing that's going to break your heart to hear it come out of my mouth hole.
Oh no!
But,
oh no!
No, it's not bad.
Oh no!
I'm not. I'm not the biggest Joel Kinnaman guy. He is another Hollywood dude that he's just handsome enough. I want to punch him in the face. So
fair. I'm on board.
We got a lot to talk about, Chris. Do we want to start with an ad and then get into it?
I think that is what's best for business.
Stick around. We got a lot of great content for you. And I'm a douche for saying content.
Are you a content creator, Dave?
I'm a content creator. I'm an influencer. I'm an influence tent. Go. And we're back. The other night, Chris, it's just been a short turnaround, really, since the last taping we did. I did manage to get in Robocop and Robocop 2. I did not get 3, which there are parts about 3 I like. You talk about ninjas and robots, I'm there.
It certainly has that.
Going to bed, Stella wanted to watch something, and Robocop is probably not horror enough for her when we go to bed. Something she likes blood and guts a little bit to help her relax and go to sleep. So I watched a different Paul Verhoeven. I hope I'm butchering that appropriately.
I think it was perfect.
We watched a different Verhoeven movie, and we watched Hollow Man.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a Paul Verhoeven movie. I thought you were going to say Starship Troopers.
Wow. I just Googled him on the Roku, and that came up, and I watched it. Sure enough, there he is in the credits, directed by, I do like Hollow Man. That's got a special place for me. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's anything great work of art, but it had been a couple years since we watched it. Although I started to watch it one night, I must have fallen asleep early, because I did not even really remember that Thanos is in it, and aka Cable. But you got that, And you got Elizabeth Shue, who I'm not trying to start a celebrity feud, but as soon as Celebrity Shue made her appearance, Stella said, I would punch that blonde bitch right in her twat. Or something of that effect. Maybe she didn't say that, but something to that effect. So Elizabeth Shue, come on the show and defend yourself.
Wow. Okay.
Or we'll put her on the board. She won't come on the show because she's afraid of getting punched. But it is a good movie. A lot of hanging, bloody, corpuscly dong off and on during the movie, during the scenes where he's going invisible and back. And
Hollow Man walked so that the Watchman could run.
I wondered if you were going Watchmen. Yes. Yeah. All roads lead to 6 foot tall blue dongs.
Yes.
So yeah. We watched that and I enjoyed it. It's not a perfect film.
I think I watched it when it first came out on VHS. Like what? Mm-hmm. Like early 2000s. And I think that's the only time I've watched it.
Oh yeah. So just based on a 23-year-old memory of a VHS you watched one time, what did you think?
I didn't dislike it, but I have never went back to it. It was all right.
It's one of those 2000s movies that feels like it was actually a 90s movie to me. So there's some stuff to it, but it's no Robocop.
No.
It's no Robocop.
But it does have Kevin Bacon, which in the horror world, he seems to be everybody a lot. Well, no, I shouldn't say everybody because he's not mine, but a lot of people's pick right now to don the fucking glove for Freddy. And I don't agree.
So my one question for you not agreeing is, did you ever watch, is it Followers or The Following? The Following. Did you ever watch The Following?
Was that the show?
45 episodes.
I remember you talking about it. I don't know if I watched any of it or not. Now, I'm not saying he wouldn't do a good job. My only qualm with him becoming Freddy is, they're going to want sequels. They're going to want sequels out the wazoo if it works.
Sure.
And Kevin Bacon is just, he's getting the years. He's getting the miles on him. I don't think you want to go quite as old as Kevin Bacon if you're setting up a franchise.
But he's doing now like the Kia, is it Kia or Nissan or some shit, electric car commercials? I think it's Kia's. He's doing some kind of electric car commercials. He's kind of a side piece in the MCU, like a minor character as himself in the MCU right now.
Yeah.
And somehow in 2023, he looks significantly younger than he did in The Following, which was 2013 to 2015. Like they grizzled him up for that. So okay.
If he does, if Blumhouse decides to go that way, he can. I'm happy to be proven wrong. But I just don't see a big franchise nightmare going that way. But you never know. You never know. Plus Zach Ward. But anyway, going off on a fucking nightmare tangent now. Let us course correct and point our steering wheel back towards the mid to late 80s, 1987, precisely.
Robert Cop.
Robert the Cop. Part Robert, all cop. Or part cop, all Robert. I don't know which tagline is the best.
This movie is like ultra 80s.
Yeah.
When I think of 80s action, like Robocop, Commando, Action Jackson, um, that over the top kind of violence and gunplay, and this is it. It's got it in spades, but it also has like sci-fi. It is gorier than a lot of those things. Like there's more blood and guts in this. So we
Yeah.
can delve into that on an individual basis, and more social commentary. So a lot of things to hit
It
as we
has,
talk.
yeah, it has so much packed into it. Like if you want to laugh at stuff, there's stuff to laugh at in this. If you want just fucking action, 80s action, it's in this. Maybe not like you're not gonna see Robocop doing like a fucking commando leap off a building, but explosions, fucking giant fucking guns and robots. Yes.
Stop motion animation.
Yes. By Phil Tippett, who we have talked about. Which I did. I think I knew that and then have since forgot. But looking at it, I was like, oh, yeah. But Phil Tippett, talking about the gore real quick. Rob Bottin, who we've talked about, who The Thing, The Howling. God, he's done so much stuff. But like, if you think of The Thing and then just kind of connect the dots to Robocop in your brain as far as effects, gore effects and stuff. And to me, I'm like, yep, that makes sense. I can see that.
Let's break it down. Let's talk about the look of Robocop.
Okay.
Because like that's what we all come for. We come for the solid steel tech, right? How does that original look Robocop suit stand the test of time?
I would be hard pressed to say that it is not my favorite ever still.
Okay.
It's practical. To me, it's still impressive to look at. I still just see Robocop. I don't see Peter Weller under that. And
I agree with that.
The colors are a little different in the sequels. Like I think in 2, it's a little more of a bluish kind of hint to it or something.
Yeah.
Which
I'm getting excited over here.
I lied. I mean, I like that too.
I like it better.
You like it better?
I'm just going to say it, Chris. I like it better. I like the blue. It's not just blue. Like it's metal, but then it's the blue. Like it looks chrome, but with a metal sheen, or with a blue sheen. And sometimes it kind of goes for purple, where the original one kind of goes kind of purple green in a couple places when it's shining, but it's mostly just that gray.
Yeah. Yep.
The second one, the blue, it just gets me. I really like it.
I used to be that way, and then for some reason have fallen back towards just the basic gray, the shiny gray of the first one. But I mean, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with that blue.
But also, Robocop definitely got a booty.
It's like a horse.
Yes,
he is horse-assed.
But I like the way Peter Weller acts. It looks good. Like his movements are good.
Now, have you seen him talk about what he originally wanted to do for the movement?
I have not.
So before, I want to say it was before he first wore the suit. Maybe even before they had got a complete design for it. But the suit itself took like 6 months to make. But he had a movement coach, and they were planning something more fast and fluid. And he's compared it more to a Spider-Man kind of a movement style originally. But when he got the suit on, he's like, well, I can't do anything of like what I wanted to do. So they had to kind of go back to the drawing board and come up with that slow, heavy, mechanical movement that is Robocop.
So I was saving this to kind of hit at the end, but I'm going to throw it in here. Just a quick little hit about the newest reboot. And that's my biggest complaint about the reboot is that he's sleek and fast, and he's not robotic at all.
He's Iron Man.
Yeah. Maybe he's Iron Spider.
I'm not into it.
That's my biggest complaint. It's not the black suit. It's not anything else.
I hate the black suit. Simply because of the Michael Keaton thing. I like at first when he's in the gray, he doesn't look too bad to me. That's like remake RoboCop. Fine, it's good enough.
It's a slimmer version too.
Yeah, like they're trying to update something that I don't think needed updated. But then Keaton's like, I make it tactical, make it black, and then it just I hated it. But then he did the Founder after that, and I can forgive him, and he can be 89 Batman again in my eyes. But there was a couple years where I was like, fuck Keaton. Change him fucking RoboCop's colors like that. Yeah, how about you fuck off? How about you? How about Val Kilmer was better? Batman. How about that? No.
Oh, shots fired. I don't even believe that you.
For a minute.
I don't believe that Val Kilmer believes that.
For a minute. After he dissed the OG RoboCop.
Rest his soul in diabetes.
Oh, diabetes. But, yeah. The big, heavy movement's slow. But it's so cool. It's so cool to me.
He's very tankish.
Yes.
Which I like. I mean, if you
don't get anything like that anymore.
Like that's. I know, and I think part of the reason why filmmakers don't like it. I'm not going to say people don't like it. I think one of the reasons filmmakers don't like that is when you have something slick and that can move fast, that gives you excuse to do these rapid cut action scenes that they like so much now. So you hide everything with rapid cuts, and it's just confusing and mess, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as beautiful as what we had in the 80s with our action. Now, it's hard to say that modern filmmakers haven't upped in some haven't upped the game in terms of like how they handle gunplay. It's far more accurate to see somebody carrying a gun now. Like, but in the 80s, like they would hold an M60 and just hold it in one hand and just waylay. Right. In 2, Hobb, the kid, has a submachine gun, and he must fire 500 rounds out of a 25-round clip. So, the 80s definitely believed in the unlimited ammo hack.
Yeah. It would be interesting if they ever, and I'm sure they will at some point, do something else with RoboCop. If they did take more of that modern, like John Wick 1-ish kind, because I know John Wick's even kind of went off the deep end with a lot of that.
Yeah, 4 is really over.
Yeah, but that more restrained kind of gunplay where bullets matter, like what, I mean, granted, it is about a cyborg. What are you gonna, I mean, how, but it could be interesting. But at the same time, like the big frickin' exploding sniper rifle that the bad guys have at the end.
Cobra?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you kind of have to. Can't be that reserved in some regards, I guess, because that's just what a gun to be it's a threat to RoboCop, and then when he turns around and uses it himself at the end is just.
Yeah, and is that a Cobra in 2 when he faces off against Kane in the auditorium? It looks like the same gun, like he carried one of those Cobras, but then he never gets a chance to use it.
It may be. I don't know a whole lot about the sequels. I've seen 2 a handful of times, 3 a handful of times, but it's been I'm of the school that I just love the first one, and I just kinda live there. I'm fine with that.
So, yeah, if you're in a place of happiness, there's no need to.
Yeah. Um, but I mean, there is cool stuff with 2. Um, but the satire still carries over. Of course, Paul Verhoeven, and somehow they talked Peter Weller into coming back, even though I'm pretty sure he hated most of
It
working
sounds
on it.
like it. So, the suit was heavy and hot, and I want to say I read that they were significantly through taping. He was losing multiple pounds a day of water weight that he was
Yeah,
sweating out before they finally added some kind of air conditioning or
yeah,
fan or something in the suit to help down.
that is crazy.
Um, and that's even half the time, like when he's driving in the car, that's without the Robocop pants on.
Yep.
Hence why we never see a wide angle of him getting out of the car. We all just see the door open and his feet step down. Because he couldn't actually get in the car with the full costume.
I do remember a scene from RoboCop 3 where he, um, was it Robert Burke? Is that who the actor was? And it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter.
Yep.
But there's a scene where it's some kind of chase, and there's the like the driver's side door is off the car that he's in, and you can see him seated, and it just looks so weird. It looks fucking weird. Or maybe I'm confusing that with. Did he ride a motorcycle in 3?
He rides a motorcycle on 2.
Okay,
He
okay,
ride he
okay.
he's on Kane's like getaway truck, and Kane hereditaries him on a telephone pole. And then while he's
Okay,
laying on the
okay.
ground, 2 guys on rice burners like right over the top of him, and it's so fucking disrespectful. But then the third guy on a chopper comes by, and he grabs the forks as the guy rides by, and the guy flips off the bike. And the next thing you know, he's on it and he rides. And yeah, he's not seated comfortably or practically in any way, but it's so great. And he passes the car and comes back and plays chicken. And when they hit, he flies through the windshield,
Yep.
and it's not a Wilhelm scream as much as it's a Gerald gurgle. Like you hear him go, you hear Kane like, I laughed out loud.
Oh, frickin' Kane. But so then the 3 had to be where the door was off the car, and you could see him seated, and it's just odd to look at. Um, going back again to RoboCop 1. God, I mean, there's so much I want to talk about. pick a thing, Dave, and we'll just keep going. I don't know. There's so much.
Let's talk about the gore.
The gore.
Yeah, but like it's when Murphy gets killed, but it's really anytime like bodies get shot.
God,
every bullet penetrates clean through every body. It is pretty fantastic.
The Emil scene, the toxic waste scene,
yeah,
still is just wild. Insane.
It kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere. Like you can see it coming when he dodges, and then you see the toxic waste, and you can kind of feel like something like that is coming up. Because it is very 80s. But man, it is good when it happens.
And then the one henchman, he's like, when he gets up on him, that bothers me almost as much as seeing what's happened to Emil. Because I'm like, I wouldn't want any part of that to touch me.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Because who fucking knows? Like, I'm surprised his clothes didn't start melting. But and then of course getting ran over by the car, or that's not even the right way to say that. Getting liquefied upon impact of a car is bananas, and I fucking love it. But Murphy's death.
Kill Murphy,
yes,
when they kill Murphy, and Lewis is kind of, she doesn't get to watch the whole thing, but she gets to watch part of it, and not necessarily on top of it, but it's so horrifying and methodical, and like all that's missing is moniker to be like calling him a dumbass, and in true Red style.
Yeah.
And so great. He's terrible. He's menacing.
Yeah. I mean, he's an asshole from Jump Street. Can you fly, Bobby? That fucking thing. And when he finds out that the money's been burnt in that scene too, and he starts hitting I forget which actor he starts to hit, but I'm like, if he did that to me, I would have to stop him and be like, chill the fuck out. This is a movie. But he's like, you dumb fucking asshole.
He's waylaying, yeah.
Yeah. But that was a quick aside, but the Murphy death, I saw this movie way before I should have ever had the opportunity. I saw this.
Feel scarred. Need to talk about it.
Yes. I saw this. It had to be somewhere from, I don't know when it released on VHS, but I know my dad rented it. And it had to be 88, 89. And I remember sitting there watching it, and I loved it. But the Murphy death in particular, I was like, Clarence Boddicker could have been there punching me in the face as a kid, and it'd have been about the same effect. I didn't know what I was seeing, but it just mind blown, and so weird. Like
it is.
The ultra violence of it. And some cuts, I think now, I have a copy, Arrow video that I got like maybe a year ago. That is fantastic. It's even got like a TV version that's got some kind of great edits, some dubs of some curse words, but the Murphy death is very edited in a lot of stuff.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. And one of the things about the Murphy death that I always thought was interesting was they built this whole animatronic really of Peter Weller simply so they could shoot him in the head. It's like, that seems like a lot of money that you put in for just this one effect.
I would like to give a shout out, but I'm not, like, I've had too many drinks to go back and check it out. But I did watch a YouTube or a TikTok today that was like talking about movie facts. It's a movie fact channel, and they got to Robocop, and they said that they were coming up short on the budget, so they did not film the Murphy death scene.
Yep.
They filmed everything else and then took that to the studio, and they pretty much told the studio, I mean, this is what you got. We ran out of money. And the studio was like, you have to show his death. So they gave him more money to film that. And then they went ham.
Yeah, I think I read that it was $600,000 they got for just that. Which is makes a lot of sense why they built an animatronic Peter Weller.
Right. It is so good. The gang member that is pissing, and Lois walks up on him, and he turns around. He's like, "Mind if I zip this up?" And then when she takes a sneak peek, he like bitch slaps her off the balcony.
Yes.
that is insane. He's got the 80s gang member laugh too. Like they all had to be like kind of tweaking, and I mean, it's a trope that I'm there for.
Yes. Oh my god, I fucking love that every time I watch it because he baits her in so fucking well with that, and then she takes it. She takes the bait. It looks just a quick glance.
She was hungry for that sausage.
It's like Lewis. They fucking nerfed you so much to be not sexual, not to be not attractive.
Mm-hmm.
But then here you are, just like looking at Dong. What are you doing? But oh god, the other, I mean, there's that gang member and then Emil, and I mean, there's a couple other ones, but those two are like all timers. They're the goats. I can take or leave all of the other ones, even the kind of the one guy that's in the crane at the end. Like fuck, he doesn't matter really.
Oh,
that's his only claim to fame is being the crane operator.
Yeah.
But those two,
I got him, and then it gets blowed up.
Yeah. Let's keep talking about some of the actors.
Sure.
So let's talk about some of the OCP dudes. So Miguel Ferrer, I don't know that I pronounced that right, but Bob Morton. I am infinitely fascinated by his character in this movie because he's not a good guy, but he's somehow a good guy compared to the other bad guys.
It's like, right. It's like the not as fat chick dancing with her friends that are bigger, and she's just looks good by comparison. Yeah, he's not as bad as everyone else, but
which says a lot because his friend or / coworker is gunned down by Ed 209 in that boardroom scene, and then rather to feel bad about his coworker being shot dead in front of him gruesomely, he just takes that as an opportunity.
Right.
And still,
I mean,
he's not the worst guy in the room, which I love. He's one of my favorite characters.
I love everything about like the corporate culture, and the first one, like the old man, Dan O'Hurley, you could be forgiven. Like you could be like, oh, he's kind of oblivious to all this shenanigans going on underneath of him.
Mm-hmm.
But then by the second one, like, no, he's full in on the evil.
Yeah.
You know, but everyone else, like Dick Jones, they're also cutthroat and out for themselves. It's great. It does go into the social commentary aspect. But before we even get into that, Miguel Ferrer, what was it he was in? I was just
he's been looking at him. So much stuff. He's like one of those guys that we talk about who he just passed away just a couple years ago too, which is unfortunate, but he's been in like so much stuff. I want to say, like, he's one of those guys, like, you just keep looking and yeah, actor credits 126.
Yep.
Dude.
The Stand TV show, The Shining TV show, The Night Flyer. Hot Shots Part 2. He's all over the place in his credits. He's a great character actor type. Of course, we've talked about O'Hurley before.
Just a couple weeks
Kurtwood
ago.
Smith. Yeah. Kurtwood Smith with his turn as Red, the '70s show, and so much. There's so much he is involved in. Um, Nancy Allen, like they really kind of you touched upon it. They desexualized her for this, but she's even now she's a good looking woman.
I was shocked earlier when I looked and saw that she was 73 now. Fine wine, Nancy. Good Lord.
Oh yeah, yes.
And
whatever you're doing, keep it up, girl.
Yeah, but I have perpetually forgot that she was in Carrie. I never remember. I've only seen Carrie like 1 or 2 times. So we'll have to do that on the show eventually, just so I can,
of course,
not be a pleb. But yeah, I mean, she's been in a lot of stuff. Dress to Kill is supposed to be good. I've seen her talk about that a lot, but I don't know. Even desexualizing her. I mean, I don't know.
There's only so much you can do.
She's still got a little something going on.
Yeah, she's badass. I mean, she's a badass. She's,
comes in
brave and honorable. I do think it aided the story to not have her and Murphy go anywhere. I think that aided the story because then you don't have that extra that is not at all needed.
I agree.
So
maybe that
Ray Wise.
Maybe that was the reason. Maybe that was the reason for it. So you wouldn't feel the urge for that to happen. Maybe since you never. You only get to see Murphy's wife in kind of flashbacks. So maybe that was by design to kind of calm Lewis down a little bit. But
that may be. Yeah, that may be. Ray Wise, one of the gang members, is he looks like he is currently in the mob.
Is he the crane guy? Yeah.
Yep. But he's got some. The Lazar Effect is a pretty good horror movie from a couple years ago. He's done some Twin Peaks. A couple episodes of Psych. Underrated.
I like.
But he's another one of those guys. Like you see him and you're like, okay, I know who this is, but I couldn't really place him in a lot of things. He did star in a short called "Satan and Jesus Discussing Peyton Manning." So, I think that's one of the that's an Adult Swim short. He did spend some time an episode on Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie. So he's done a lot of that kind of thing. An episode on Workaholics. He was in Chillerama. He's the doctor that diagnoses the guy whose sperm becomes a kaiju.
I feel like we've talked about this at some point. Maybe not on the show.
Maybe not on the show. I know we have talked about Chillerama though. So
an actor we can't forget to bring up is I got to make sure I'm saying his name right because I don't know that I will. Is Sergeant Reed, but his man's name is Robert Dookie.
You asshole! I can't believe you would butcher it that way. I have no clue.
I wish I hadn't even brought it up.
I have to assume that he himself has avoided saying his last name whenever possible.
I wish I'd have just said Sergeant Reed, the police chief. Yeah. I wish I'd have just said that and we wouldn't have been in this weird situation. But he is.
And now it's just getting more off.
Yeah, I gotta hammer the gas down and just get out of here. He is like quintessential police chief, 80s police chief to me.
Oh yeah.
And I love him in this. He's we're not plumbers. Cops don't strike. I fucking love him. And the whole thing with him and the and the Force having to deal with OCP and then bringing in all this fucking Robocop shit. He's fantastic. He's fantastic. I had to bring him up.
He is great.
And he looks the part. Like, he's just, I believe he really is police chief of Metro South.
I'm just going to assume that they pulled him straight out of the precinct and put him in the movie one day.
Yeah.
And didn't tell him they were filming a movie.
Crime went up in Detroit. Yeah, because he wasn't there.
It is interesting how Detroit is still not a great place, but like this is the beginning. And I don't remember when Kentucky Fried Movie came out. Have you ever seen that?
I know of it. I've never watched it. I want to say that was the late
77. Yeah. So in 77, Kentucky Fried Movie came out, and they have one of the skits in that involves a spy that's spying on the bad guys and gets caught. And so the head of the mob or whatever this is, the criminal organization, like the guy in front of him before him, he's like, off with your head. And then they pull him up and they're like, he was spying on you. And he's like, send him to Detroit. And he's like, no, not that. Just kill me. And that was in 77. And then in the late 80s, Detroit is still a cesspool and the symbol of, urban decay.
Right.
And now it's still that way. Like, what the fuck, Detroit?
They at one point they had a statue of Robocop though.
That's cool. Did somebody steal it?
Probably. I've not heard nothing about it in a long time. It may be gone.
So it's probably gone.
It's probably. I was very worried about that statue. I mean, it was kind of a mid statue anyway. If we're going to be honest. It looked like wood. It just didn't look as cool as it could have. No offense to whoever created it. It just,
I'm sure you did your best.
Yeah. But I was like, that's going to be, if it's not fucking just straight stolen or destroyed, it's going to be just graffitied to shit. And then I've not heard anything about it in a long time, so I don't even know if it's still there.
I think I still have it. I have a box with some like newspaper clippings and shit like that from my history. And some of them are not like my newspaper clippings or things like that. Some of them are just, there's a couple that are just newspaper clippings that I had to keep because they're so great. And one of them told the story of a British big boy in Cincinnati that the big boy statue out front had got stolen. And then someone sent a ransom note to the manager. And when he didn't pay it, like a week later, they sent another ransom note with the thumb from the statue. Bravo, sir. Your life of crime has made me chuckle many times over the years.
Oh my God. Okay, so I had to look up the statue. Apparently, it's not on display permanently, but as of an article from just November, a few months ago, they're saying that it may finally see a light of day permanently in front of some place. But it looks a little better than I gave it credit for. It is a bronze statue that is 11 feet tall.
Holy shit.
And weighs 2.5 tons. If some hoodlums in Detroit could steal it, I say let them have that, because wow, you can move 2.5 tons of Robocop like that and get away with it?
Yeah,
you deserve it. You deserve that statue.
Because of the bronze makes it look more like something out of Star Wars. But otherwise it looks good. I like the detail. I think
maybe I saw like a preliminary, like a prototype thing, because I swear I saw one and it was like wood. or at least like looked wood-ish, like wood grained and shit. And I'm like, that. Why would you do that? This looks better than what I remember seeing.
All right, Chris. Whenever you want, we can take a road trip to the Michigan Science Center.
No, just kill me. Just kill me.
Just don't drink the water.
That has nothing to do with Detroit as a place. That has everything to do with me being afraid to go places in general. Let's see. What else? Let's talk about the fucking newscasts. And just kind of the satire of the whole business of Robocop. But it starts off with this, and I think Lisa Gibbons, was she not an Entertainment Tonight?
I believe so. I believe she actually was like a pseudo serious journalist.
Yeah. So for her to be the first one they show is it sets a tone, and then it's the news is just constantly, and the ads are so tongue in cheek, and so they still apply today. A lot of them, like the one that is still one of my favorites, is the mechanical heart commercial.
Yes,
where they're showing all this shit, and it's like, talk to your provider and check your insurance, whatever stuff. I can't even remember how exactly he says it, but at the end of the commercial, and he's like, and remember, we care. After all that, like, hoopla of like, make sure you can pay us and this and that. And I'm like,
if you can afford it, we care.
Yes. And I'm like, oh, how things have not changed.
No, the social commentary is so prescient, even for what's going on now.
Yeah.
What's 36 years later. It's great. The newscast is it's all headlines.
Yeah.
Like it's 2 minutes of news, and that's what you get now.
Yeah.
Like that's the way news is. There's so much going on. It's 2 minutes of headlines, and everything is made to be sensationalized. And then the over the top violence of society has seeped even into the commercials and stuff. Like everything is just so in your face and over the top. And
nuke your family with Nukem.
Yeah.
Which is, that'd be a fun game. That'd be a fun game.
And it continues in 2. And I know pre-show you said you didn't necessarily remember all the commercials in 2. Yeah. There's one that's a woman. She's covered up in a sarong, in a hat, and she's on by the poolside. And she's like, the California sun is deadly if you expose yourself to it for more than a few minutes. That's why I use Sunblock 5000. And she starts gooping the shit on her skin.
Yes.
And turns herself blue. And I'm wondering, did James Cameron watch this and jerk off and think, if she was only looked a little bit more like a cat, I'm in. I'm just saying, a whistleblower told me that's a possibility.
Oh my God. And his name was David Grush.
It is great. I said, and I stand by it, if they made 90 minutes, 2 hours of just these fake newscasts with these fake commercials, and you made 90 minutes of it, I would watch it. Which, by the way, Chris, is close to what Kentucky Fried Movie is.
Okay.
There are some skits that are meant to be like movies and TV shows, but more than just the real show, it's like fake trailers. There's a fake trailer for Catholic high school girls in trouble, stuff like that, and it's phenomenal.
All right.
Directed by John Landis, who makes an appearance in RoboCop in the car commercial for the SUX 5000 or whatever it's called.
Right. He was in that? I don't even remember.
Yeah, isn't that John Landis that does the commercial for the car? Um, yep. Man in the 6000 SUX commercial. Uncredited. He's uncredited.
Holy shit. I'll have to look that up. I literally don't. I mean, I remember the commercial, but I don't remember John Landis. I gotta find it.
Well, but the good thing is we live in a time when the wealth of human knowledge is at your fingertips.
It is.
And we use it for cat videos and looking up obscure fake TV commercials from 80s cult movies.
Oh, there he was. Holy shit. Yeah. I can understand why I missed him.
Yes.
He's okay. Yeah.
The stop motion dinosaur in that commercial is phenomenal as well. Let me say that is good stuff.
That has to be a Phil Tippett.
It has to be, yeah. But to put that much care into it, really, to me, that says a lot. Like they could have had the car commercial without that.
Yeah.
And it would not have lost anything, but no, that's great.
And is another moment in the movie a little later with the life imitates art constantly with the politician who's like, I demand a recount. I want you to bring me a car and $1 million. And
yeah.
And he references the 6000 SUX, which is a nice little touch. It makes the world feel more lived in or thought of, like as they're making it. It's like he's referencing that commercial we saw. That's kind of neat.
And then the criminals have one.
Yeah.
They actually have two until Bodeker blows up.
Yes. And what a Clarence move. He's like, oh, you got one too. Well, fuck you. Fuck your car. And what you'd think at a certain point they would just turn on him and kill him or something, but no, they just live. They live that way.
It's the power of emotional abuse, Chris. Keeps them in line.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to keep your pimp hand strong. It's like you said, pimping ain't easy. Sometimes it is.
Oh man, but the one of the other things about the newscast, the headlines and stuff, and another one at the beginning is talking about the officer that was shot, who we learn from Sergeant Reed very, very soon on Murphy's first day that he didn't make it. But that it's very thoughts and prayers. It's an 80s version of that. And he's like, "Good luck, Frank." And we're line,
rooting for you.
Yeah. It's like, what are you? Okay. Even as a younger kid watching that, I'm like, that's weird, but I didn't fully understand. But yeah, that is very thoughts and prayers. And I just had to talk about it. Dave, since we're this deep in, I feel like I should tell you the one thing that I don't like about this movie. My one big nitpick.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
And it will lead us more into talking about the suit. Later on, after, he gets battle damaged and get the removal of the visor and all that, which is great. The bolts coming out. The black neck guard, kind of chin guard thing, is just gone when he doesn't have the visor, but it's there when he does. He never takes that part off. It just disappears. And
maybe it's nanotechnology a la Iron Man.
That it has. You have to. It's got something. It's got a retractable. But that's the one thing I just don't like. If they just shown him taking that part off too a little bit, or just showed it sitting somewhere. But they just kind of skirt over the fact that it's just gone. Which is fine, because I mean that shows all the fucking cool shit underneath, right? Like there is some crazy little effects going on the neck and the head of Robocop. That kind of
When
80s technology shit that does it. I mean, who knows what any of it's supposed to mean, but it just looks fucking cool.
when he's got the helmet off and the visor off, and like the skin on the side of his head is kind of stretched out on
Yes.
like the halo or something. That it just looks. I know it's an effect. I know it's not like really his skin stretched,
Mm-hmm.
but they do such a good job with it. It looks painful, and it looks creepy, and it looks so weird.
Yeah.
Peter Weller has an odd shaped head. The dude is a genius. We talked about this pre-show. He is literally like a professor of some of the arts at Syracuse University,
It has
and
been for forever now. I mean,
yeah, and if you look at him, he looks like that kind of guy. He's got the sharpest jawline, and yet his cranium is twice as wide as his average width of his head. I don't know. He's odd looking,
and
but still in an '80s handsome kind of way, I'd say.
yeah, and I mean, he was chosen in part because he was so skinny and could fit in this big bulky suit and not look bulky. And I think that really pays a lot to the unmasked look too, since they could build up like around his face and his head like that, and it seemed like that's actually his skin being stretched over this mechanical thing, which is. But the one thing about Peter Weller that I think, talking about him being a professor and stuff, I feel like he is the type of professor that people would be like, oh, he was such an asshole. He fucking failed me and I hated it. If you're one of the people that don't want to try, and like if you're there to like learn from him and like do what you're supposed to, I feel like he's like probably really good. But if you're like half-assing it, I feel like he wouldn't be down with the half-assing.
Oh no. You better whole ass it or nothing.
Yeah.
Peter Weller as your instructor.
And how could you not? It's like, that's fucking Murphy that's Alex Murphy right there. How could I half-ass this class? Fucking people. I say that and I don't know anybody that's my sister-in-law has met him at a convention. What did she say? I think she went to some Lexington comic convention or something. Maybe it's a horror convention. Maybe it's a catch-all. But she said something. He had like a trombone or maybe some kind of saxophone case with him. And I was like, that sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds par for the course for the Wells man.
But another thing to look forward to for this year is a new Robocop game. The first one, and I don't know how long.
I've seen some news and clips, and it looks really good. I like the way they were talking about it on the YouTube video I saw the other day. They wanted to keep the tankiness. Your standard pistol is full auto, but you can also pick up other guns, but they don't carry with you. So you pick them up, you play with them in that, and then they don't carry with you because they wanted to come back to just the classic Robocop, machine pistol at your side. I like that.
I've played. I forget the name of the developer, but I'm pretty sure they are the ones that did that Terminator game from a few years ago, which was really pretty good for what it was. If you don't go in expecting like this big studio affair. I know it's going to have some rough edges, which is what I'm expecting the Robocop game to kind of be. But I cannot wait. It looks so cool. And Peter Weller is back to voice Robocop in it, which is amazing.
His voice is very good in this. Dead or alive, you're coming with me. It is very robotic, but menacing at the same time.
And
which is hard to do. Like that, you can be robotic, and it just sounds neutral. But to be robotic and menacing, I think takes more.
And it's another interesting touch is when he takes the visor off, and he's talking to Lewis, unmasked. His voice is softer then.
He's very sympathetic in 2 when his wife is more in 2.
Yes.
And he's kind of stalking her a little bit, and they tell him, your wife's coming. They basically tell him, if you love her, you will tell her you are dead. You are not a man, you are a machine, and let her go. Let her live her life. And he does, but it's so sympathetic, and it's
is that the one is
gut-wrenching.
Was it 2 where he is talking to her and he's like, they built this to honor him, and it's like,
yeah,
oh my god, why? You're fucking crazy right now, Murphy.
Yeah, I think that is
yeah. There is. Let's talk a little about some of the. It's not a horror movie, obviously. It is very much a sci-fi satire-y kind of thing. But there are certainly horror elements, especially if you look, for them. Obviously, the biggest one, and probably one of my favorite just aspects of the movie is Murphy and the whole them just using a human for their parts for their robot. Like the morality is absent. And even Bob Morton, that moment where they're like, we saved the arm. We saved the right arm, left arm. I forget which one
bring that up.
Yeah. And he's like, get rid of it. Fuck it. Get rid of it. And it's like, to say again about he's the goodest bad guy in the movie. And he's the one going, cut the fucking arm off, get rid of it. Full body prosthesis. But them just taking this cop who meant nothing to them, and it's horrifying because I feel like in some ways we are steering towards kind of that being the realities of not too distant future. When
spoiler alert, in a later episode this season, we're going to be talking about dangerous tech.
Yes.
And that's kind of what we're dealing with here, It is a callous disregard for others, and this is the most physical demonstration of it.
Yeah, and then
I can imagine.
To be in Murphy's shoes, to have that happen to you, and to still, you're governed by these rules that have been programmed into you, but at the same time, you still have remnants of your original thoughts. Like that's so horrifying. That's some Black Mirror shit. But 30 years before Black Mirror. I didn't like Black Mirror a whole lot. People may kill me for that. I'm going to have to give it another shot, but
I've seen a couple that were okay, a couple not as into.
Yeah, but that's another thing about Robocop. Just you can't act the way you want to because you've been programmed to, which is another thing about Bob Morton, which, he put in these directives so he can't go after, OCP officials, right? So he was protecting his own corrupt piece of shit ass. Meanwhile, he was protecting Dick Jones and the old man. Fucking piece of shit. I do like the old man in one though, because he does seem like he doesn't really know what's going on. And it was such a great way to end the movie too. I love the way it ended with him and Murphy.
I thought I liked Morton. The really big reveal on Morton is when you find out that the dude that was accidentally killed during the demonstration of the Ed 209, maybe that wasn't quite the accident that he made it out to be. So I did like that. I like the Ed 209.
Dude, I think I was scared of Ed 209 for a good several years as a child. I think I was.
It is big. Unlike Robocop, it looks like a robot, and it is all just a husk and gun.
Yeah,
and it is menacing. It is good.
I love just the design of Ed 209, like that big, like the big face head kind of middle chassis area, whatever you call that. It looks like this big kind of sensor thing, it looks to me like it serves a purpose. Like it doesn't feel thrown together.
Yeah.
And like the guns, like it's two big fucking mounted guns on the sides are just so honking big.
Well, yeah. Could you imagine if they put that into use on the streets?
Oh my god!
Like there would be so many innocent bystanders killed. It would.
Oh my god! But you know what it reminds me of is like the fucking like Tesla truck or whatever that fucking shit was. Things, I mean, not visually,
Cybertruck.
Yeah, like they bring this shit out and it's like, look at this, and then like they're like, the windows are unbreakable, and then I forget what they did, but then it fucking just absolutely breaks, and then they're like, oh, we'll have to work on that, and I'm like, there's your Ed 209 moment. Obviously, this didn't involve the murder of one of your employees, but we're building up to it.
But
still.
It could have.
Yeah,
but it could have. It would not have surprised me.
I can fully see something of that, and maybe 10 more years where they're like, our new cyber Jeep can drive over this man and sense that it is a human, so it will distribute its weight accordingly so as to not hurt the human. Phil, go ahead and lay down. That straight killed him. Okay. We're getting there.
Good luck, Phil. I know about you and Sally. The Cybertruck looks like an 80s kid drew a picture of a futuristic.
Yeah. I respect it for being different.
It is that.
I think that cars in general just don't have that innovation anymore where they try to look different. I feel like we've been in the same path visually for too long. I'm ready for something different. And I'm not saying this looks good, but it's something different. So I can. It does kind of have
your hat on that. You got that going for you. You Cybertruck. You don't look like anything else. You got that going for you.
I mean, if they tweaked it a little bit, it could have a little bit of a Robocop aesthetic. It's like they're a quarter of the way there. It's got the color scheme. But fuck Elon. I am not buying a Robocop car.
I am not buying your tweets.
I'm certainly not buying those. Any other parts of the movie? Any other things you want to talk about? We could just talk forever, I'm sure.
Yeah. Uh, it's a good movie. Like I said, I did get 1 and 2 watched this week in just the last 3 days. I watched those 2, and I regret not getting into a chance to watch the TV show for tonight, but I probably will go ahead and get that.
Did you watch it before, like in the 90s?
Oh yeah.
I remember watching a few
I have
episodes.
watched all 3 multiple times.
I didn't hate it as a kid, but I don't remember a whole lot about it. I don't even know who played Robocop in the series. The TV show.
Okay. I have not watched the series. I'm sorry. I kind of lost track here. I have not watched the series. I have watched the cartoon. I have not watched the series, and I would. I'm interested.
I watched like I told you before we started, I watched the intro to the cartoon, 88 cartoon, and God, the frickin' 80s was a different time to be a kid. Just the insinuated violence. So I don't even know that it was insinuated. It was pretty flat out told that Murphy was gunned down by bad guys to become Robocop. And they obviously don't show it, but they do show them shooting. Like they turn the camera to show the gang members shooting him. And I'm just like, that's bananas how this could have been a Saturday morning cartoon. But there you go. There you frickin' go. I had one of the first Nintendo games, NES games, that I remember my parents getting me was Robocop. And not a terrible game, but not a great game either.
What's the new one called? Rogue City?
Rogue City, yes, I believe you are correct.
I think it looks good. I'm interested.
And I think it's not far out. September is supposed to be. I feel like it'll be delayed because I've not seen a whole lot lately about it. I've been plagued by other video games though, so I've understandably probably missed shit.
We can talk briefly about the comic books. So, when I was at my peak collecting, one of my favorite, I guess you would call it a publishing house. I'm a Marvel guy.
Mm-hmm.
I liked some DC stuff, but mostly what I liked is the Dark Horse comics when it came to DC stories, a la the Dark Knight, like the Dark Knight stories from Dark Horse Comics. Dark Horse Comics did great, and they did a ton of Predator, Alien, Terminator, and Robocop, and they had some great Robocop stories. And one of my favorite was Robocop versus Terminator, which I guess you can, stage that battle in one of the Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah.
But the best thing I liked about the story was just the whole premise. The Terminator comes back to kill the Robocop. So the Terminator's the bad guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's not. He's sent back to kill the Robocop because Robocop's technology is what leads to the development of the AI that will take over the world.
Okay.
So it is very much like you're rooting for Robocop because he's clearly the good guy, but also if he succeeds, it's going to lead to the enslavement of the human race.
Right.
So it was. I mean, Dark Horse did some cool shit, some dark shit, and they did all kinds of fucking wild ass crossovers. Hellraisers versus different things, and
I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe that they even got a video game out for Robocop versus the Terminator for Genesis or Super Nintendo at the time.
Oh, that would be cool. I mean, like I said, the comic book story was great. The premise was great. So if the gameplay is good, I would play that. Genesis had some jams, man.
Oh yeah. I may be completely wrong, but I swear it was a thing. And I think that you played as Robocop and just fought a
1993 video game.
Torrent of Terminators.
Yeah, it's a run and gun game, it says.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So this was vying for the attention of Robocop 3 stance, which is a shame. It may have had a better run if it hadn't had to been around that time.
Robocop.
Yeah.
Well, I went ahead and threw some remake stuff in there. Like I said, the black of the new reboot suit doesn't bother me as much as he's not a robot. He's a fucking metal ninja.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. There's some cool shit on it. If they didn't cram the Robocop thing in there and it was just something else,
mm-hmm.
I think you've got a pretty decent movie. But the fact that you did something else with it, some of the horror stuff of like seeing Murphy without the suit is way more horrifying than what they did. But it's all CG too, so it's more horrifying because you can see like the lungs expanding in the little case thing. But
that was surprising.
Also, there's a kind of the CG doesn't quite land, so it's not quite as good as it probably could.
Dude, could you imagine in the 80s giving that mission to Savini or somebody to be like, figure this out? Because they would have.
Yeah, they might have. Savini might have murdered a homeless dude and put his lungs somewhere and inflated them with a fucking hydraulic actuator.
That was he was using dead bodies the whole time. Savini.
Yeah, it was worth it to produce what he produced.
Absolutely. No court on earth would charge him.
Look, I'm not condoning violence against the homeless, but there are plenty of like priests and ministers he could have abducted and killed and made his, and I've been there for it.
Agreed. Oh man. Well, what do you say? Without further ado, we'll hit another ad. Maybe if Spotify will let us fucking have any. Fucking Spotify. And then we'll come back and we'll rate this bitch. And then we will be off until next week. We may even hint at what we're doing next week.
Yeah. Take a little dirt on this grave and move on.
We are back. It is time to rate Robocop 1987. Dave, do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first? How you feeling?
This is your pick. So I'm going to go ahead and go first. And I have a number down for you. So I have my prediction down. So Robocop, just looking at Robocop 1, it is more horror adjacent than it is true horror, but it is bloody, it is ultra violent, and the horror aspect of you brought up the directives and not being in control and how callous they are with your body. And we haven't even got to the Jesus conspiracy of this movie. Like, is this a movie about Jesus?
Right.
So we'll save that for another episode, or maybe it'll be a topic we bring up at a different time when we just bring up a bunch of little topics and have a special show dedicated to that.
I still have a lot that I want to say about Return of the Living Dead, so I'm sure we're going to have to come back around on some movies that are our favorites again.
Maybe if the rabble are interested, we can do a special episode where we talk about all these loose ends that we've kind of left unsaid and
Ooh.
really like pack them in a big show.
All
A
right.
king size show, a Zilla size show, uh, a showzilla, if you will.
Interesting.
But this is a good movie. Like I don't always make it through a movie, especially if I can't watch it before Scylla rolls over. Because by the time she rolls over to sleep, then like I'm oh man, I'm starting to get tired. So I don't always make a movie in one night. And I absolutely did with one, and I almost did with two, and then I finished up. Um, it is good. The series is good. Like I said, the reboot would probably be better off if you made it its own thing. Um, but just looking at one or looking at one, two, three, great movies. Highly, highly recommend. If you watch it for the social satire, if you don't watch it for the sci-fi violence, watch it for the whole social satire and everything that goes with that. But I'm going to give this movie, and I feel like I'm doing a disservice by giving it an 8, but I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay. Wrote down my guess for you, and I started with an 8.5. And I was like, I think I'm going too hard. I think I'm going too hard. So I went back down to an 8 as you were talking. So I don't feel like I deserve 100% credit. But I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take 100% credit. Undeserved.
Of course. Well deserved. Well deserved.
But for me, I do have a couple little nitpicks. That ultimately, I don't know that anybody would even notice the fucking neck guard of Robocop. But I feel like if that is where I'm living, then it's doing pretty good for me.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I love almost every character in this movie for some different reason. I love the story of this movie. The effects. This is probably what led me closer to horror is just the amount of gore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we didn't even talk about when he stabs Boddicker with the fucking data spike.
Yeah.
And just gets bathed in blood. And they could have ended the movie there when he's talking to Shot Up Lewis, right? And he's like, they'll fix you, they fix everything. But then no, he goes and fucking blows up fucking Ed 209's fucking dumbass, and then gets rid of Dick Jones. And then I love the way it ends. The fucking old man's like, nice shooting, kid. What's your name? And the Murphy line, and then roll the music, roll the credits. There's so much. I could just keep talking forever. I may still. It's not over yet. We've not hit stop. But
keep going. Keep going. I'm with you.
I can watch this movie. There's only a handful of movies that I can just sit down, and it doesn't matter where it's at in the movie. If it's on, I can watch it, and I'll watch the whole fucking shit. If I'm looking for something to watch and I'm on, looking at Netflix or Prime Video or wherever, and see it, I'll watch it. And one of the only other movies I can think of that I do that with is Return of the Living Dead. I'd say this and Return of the Living Dead are probably my most very gory. Amen.
I only say that because it was on TV the other day, and I completely stopped what I was doing.
How could you not?
Yeah.
I know what soundtrack I'm listening to when we get off here now, though. But yeah, it's just, I fucking love this movie essentially from top to bottom. Didn't even talk about the music. I think one of the most, I get emotional on like heroic scenes for some fucking weird reason. Like when in the Guardians of the Galaxy, when like he's holding the stone at the end after their dance off distraction, and he's like, "We're the Guardians of the Galaxy" or whatever, and they're all like, holding onto each other to like harness the power of it. I'm like, "You are the Guardians of the Galaxy." Shit like that will get me. I'm like,
you don't know how much I appreciate that you said this now. So I am not ashamed of the fact that there have been a few times in my life I have cried like a little schoolgirl. And when it's movies, it's not the sad part of the movie, it's the joyous reunion at the end or the joyous triumph at the end that really gets me. Like, they will get me. They will get me.
I mean,
so
there's a lot of things like that. That is, I wish I could think of more, but I'm sure if I was to watch Robocop now, like fresh, like the first time I'd ever seen it, I'm sure it would bring on that for me for this as well. So, but that said, not every movie can get a perfect score. And not every movie deserves a perfect score because there are problems, but this movie ain't got none of them. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Oh my goodness. Is this our first perfect score movie?
I think I gave Bud the Chud a 10 out of 10.
Okay. Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, Chris.
And I still stand by that.
Cool your jets, Chris.
But
you were definitely doing too much that day.
Yeah. But I stand by it. I stand by this. 10 out of 10. I have not a problem with any of this movie. I love it. To talk about the music real quick, the moment when he goes for his first patrol before he goes to the liquor store that's getting held up, that scene where he's driving and the music fucking hits, perfection. That's one of those like gets me in my chest. I'm like, you are Robocop. You are fucking Robocop, and I'm watching it.
The 80s did some great shit with music and with setting the tone. Like it seems like maybe movies today try to be like ironic.
Mm-hmm.
But the 80s, they played it straight, and that heroic synth and the heroic music. So I can't disagree with you. That gives Robocop though an average score of a 9, which probably has to be our highest or one of our highest average scores.
I think you are probably right. I'm curious now for what our scores were for Return of the Living Dead, because I know I don't think I gave that a 10. I don't even know if we were using numbers then. That may be what we have to do for this Showzilla idea, is go back and give some numbers to some of these that we maybe didn't give them to.
Or like collect the numbers and break them down and look at them and say, okay, if you had a regret, what would you rescore? Where would it be? Like you said, numbers. Once we didn't rate, where would it be?
Yeah.
If you have a disagreement, or you have something you want to say, or you want to chime in about a movie we've done, or suggest something we haven't done, or you just want to say like, hi, hello, fuck you guys, you can do that on social media and at the shit storm dumpster fire that is Twitter, at Sweetness, one with 6 E's and Sweet, or at Horror House 2, because there are 2 of us.
We would be proud to be one of your 60 views for the day.
Yeah.
Your 60 allowed views on Twitter. I think it's a little more than that, but still, principle Elon.
It's dumb.
You are a fucking weirdo.
Like, you know what? This social media platform I've designed that generates money by people seeing lots of things. Let's limit how much they can see. Ergo, limiting how much money I can make.
Yeah, that is so weird. But anyway, you can email us, horrorhousepodcast@gmail.com, or you can go to the Horror House page on Facebook.
You can hit us up on Slasher. I am at Horror House Dave, and Chris is at Horror House Chris. So don't know how we came up with those names, but that's what we got.
I copied you.
Okay.
I straight copied you.
But the Slasher is a relatively new social media site dedicated to horror lovers, and although it's very simplistic now, I don't know what your take is on the Slasher so far, Chris. It's very simplistic. It does seem like there's not as much just bullshit as there is on the tweets and the face space and that shit.
It is very reliant on making a bunch of friends so you can actually fill up your timeline with stuff. So you really got to get on there and add people, which is no problem because that is the one thing I feel like I do the most.
Oh yeah, like I don't even send friend requests. Like I get 2-3 a day still.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
and last but not least, do rate us wherever you're listening. Anything. We take stars of all kinds, numbers of all kinds. And maybe most importantly, please share Horror House around to your friends. Did they like horror? Did they like two guys talking some shit on movies and anything really? Because let's be honest, we've did more non-horror this season than we've ever done. So
it's a little bit of a new direction. So let us know what you think, or if are you okay with it? Do we need to refocus our efforts on traditional horror movies? Do you like the IRL stuff? We're interested in hearing from you.
Do you want a series on 1987's Robocop? I'm down.
With more episodes than the original Robocop TV show? We can, because we can do that.
But please do share us around. Somebody wants to laugh, hook them up on the Horror House, man. We are still working on them Spotify listens. Just help some brothers out.
Yeah. And the more you help us out, the more content we can create for you.
Because Dave is a content creator. I don't know why I don't like that term either. It's so weird.
It just sounds so fucking pretentious.
It does. I think that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head. It is very pretentious. I mean, certainly we are creating content, but like, I mean, really? Like if the fucking next civilization finds the Horror House records, I don't think they're going to be like, this is great content. This is going to lead us into a shining new age. It's going to be like, what the fuck is Doom Asylum? And I wouldn't want it any other way. If that's being a content creator, then you know what? I'm a content creator.
So be
it. Next civilization. If you can somehow revive me, that'd be fantastic. I'll leave my deets in some kind of print, some crypto locked something or other. I don't know how this stuff works. I'll put my I'll leave it under rock somewhere. I'll let you know.
Look for the
I'm trying to live forever.
Flat rock. Yeah. The singularity is coming.
But next week, before the singularity, we've got some. Dave, you're better at the hints than I am. How would you hint at what next week is?
I mean, let's just say it's a kaiju movie. We haven't had a kaiju movie in a minute. Have we had a kaiju since Cloverfield? I don't think we have. I think that might be the only kaiju movie we've done.
Really? Seems weird. But I'm thinking you're right. I'm thinking maybe you're right.
Yeah, but so it's a kaiju movie, and it's maybe got some mech suits too. So a little bit of everything.
So stick around.
It's got a wild card, bitches. Woo-hoo!
That is coming next week. And we will see you then. Same cemetery, different grave. I had to think for a second, but I got it.